Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelled Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, over the Skypes, the last piece of the puzzle, the missing motivator, the vinyl cape Jawa of podcast hosts, the one we've been hanging out for, Luke Cruser on the mic. Finally, how you going, man?
Hey, man, how you doing? And I think we discussed this in the chat. I would not consider myself a vinyl cape Jawa. I would consider myself more a 3 3/4 Snoke peg warmer. So,
do you still see those out and about?
Yeah, I do. I do see those out and about. Those and Finn in his First Order outfit.
Yeah, I was
Last Jedi.
I was at a lot of places where a lot of old stock ends up. There's this place called the Reject Shop in Australia where it's like old stock ends up there, and it's been quite good because we were getting like cheap Black Series and stuff for the last couple of years, but it hasn't been much for ages. And every now and then I'll check in, see what's going on. You know, I go in there the other day. Oh, looks like there's Star Wars there. Go over to the thing, and there is a whole rack of about 60 or 70 Rogue One 3 3/4. Well, I'm just going, what? Like they went through. They had like some Last Jedi stuff on there, and they had some Force Awakens stuff, and they've just doubled back around, found another warehouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a similar thing going on here at a store called Five Below, which is $5 and below. And there's a whole mess of Rogue One stuff, and there has been since probably 2 years after, a year or two after it came out. You can get just about anything. I got a base Malbus and a Chirrut Imwe there for $5 a piece, Black Series.
Oh, nice.
So I wasn't too mad about that because I had never seen them out in the wild. It was a case of one of those things where they never distributed them around here, and then all of a sudden they show up at a discount store. So I wasn't mad at it.
I was just looking at these going, do I really need a 3 3/4 like Princess Leia in her Rebels outfit, or you know, it's just like I just had to walk away. But they must have just doubled down so much after Force Awakens. They must have just been going, looked at those numbers and gone, hey, people bought the tires last time, we can double back on this.
Yeah, the whole Rogue One rollout was a bit of a disaster. I can remember on the night that they all came out, I was like, I'm not gonna mess this up and miss out on them again. I'm gonna hit
these
are
never coming back.
I hit all these things up, and there they were for weeks. I'm like, well, I really tried for nothing.
Shouldn't have pushed past that old lady, you know, and pushed those people out of the way and pre-ordered and did all that kind of stuff just to be sure. Yeah.
Here I was expecting like this big crowd around the section, and where I went, it was just me, the lonely guy at Walmart at midnight.
With a bunch of staff going, you're the one reason that we all have to work here tonight. And is Walmart 24 hours, or are they?
Yeah. Most of them are. Yeah. There's in my hometown, there still lives a Walmart that is not 24 hours. It's a unicorn amongst the Walmarts.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Look, it's so inconsistent here in Australia. We just get random stuff every now and then. I went into a Target today because it was next to where I was shopping. They had a quick look, and they had some Galaxy of Adventures at Han Solos and Chewies, and that was it. There was no Black Series. There was nothing. There was a couple of stray lightsabers, and that's about it. So I gotta wait.
Would be what we call a Strother's honey hole, because he loves those Galaxy of Adventure figures.
Yeah,
he's all about them.
Yeah, they're cool figures, but I'm going. They're just going to go on the shelf. I don't need them. You know.
No, dude, I understand that problem, because as you know, with the Bad Motivators, we're all about collecting and all that good stuff. And there was a solid 2-year span there where there was not a segment of Who Got What where I didn't have something. And over the past 6 months, I've been looking around like, man, I got my collection looking real nice in my office. Every time I add something, it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
So I'm really limiting things that I really want. Like, they're getting ready to come out with the fourth anniversary of the Empire Strikes Back figures in the Kinder packaging, and I pre-ordered 5 of those because I thought they would look good next to my New Hope ones. But even doing that, I'm like, did I really need to buy all of those?
Yeah, I looked at those. I didn't get the New Hope ones because they were really sporadic here. But then I saw a guy on Facebook Marketplace like yesterday selling all of them for about 300, and I think he had the first 8, which was like the Han, Luke, Leia, R2, Chewie, and I was like, that's actually a pretty good price. That's $30 Australian, roughly a figure, which is pretty good. But I was just going,
well, I mean, getting the Han and R2 in there, that's a pretty good deal, because those are hard to get figures. And I think the Chewbacca one's not easy to find either.
Yeah.
The Jawa, the Leia, the Luke, the Ben Kenobi, those were all over the place.
Yeah.
When they were out here, but I got lucky. I remember that feels like forever ago now. But I got lucky. I went to a Walgreens and they had a Han Solo and R2 and an extra Han Solo, and I bought all 3 of them.
Nice.
And then I sent Struthers the Han Solo as a thanks for editing the podcast every week, Eric. Here you go, buddy.
That's nice. Nice little token of appreciation. Yeah, the only thing I've pre-ordered has been the Kenner retro ones. Because I bought the originals, the Star Wars ones, and I really love those because I've always wanted ones on card, and I'm like, well, I'm not paying thousands of dollars, and from a distance they're passable, they look good, and I thought, well, I'll get the Empire ones, and then hopefully in a few years they'll do Jedi, because the only thing I've ever come close to buying on card and wanting was when we were at Celebration, a guy had a Luke in Jedi outfit on card, and I think he wanted about $250 US for it, maybe. And I looked at it and I'm going, I can't rationalize that, because that's about $400 Australian as well. And I'm like, well, you're at Celebration. Was this ever going to happen again? Should you do it? And I was like, nah, those retro things will come out in a couple of years, and I'll be 90% happy, and I'll save $390.
Was the plastic blister nice and yellow?
Yeah, it was. Like, it's still like.
Well,
yeah,
42 years of age, you got to give it some, or more like, no, it was like 30ish years, I guess, for Return of the Jedi. But yeah, no, I pre-ordered the Boba Fett of that retro line. It's the only one I pre-ordered because I've always had an affinity for that figure, but I was never going to ever pay for an actual Kenner one.
Yeah,
and I don't know about you, like I like the packaging of those, but I hate that big ass sticker on it.
Yeah, I know
why. I know why they have to do it, but it's just like, so I know that it's immediately coming out of the package. It's going to stand next to the actual Kenner figures I have.
I've left it in, and I've got them sort of positioned. I can't show you now because the camera's in the wrong spot. They're sort of one behind the other, behind the other, behind the other on a little angle. So it's really only the first one looks like you can see the sticker on it. So it doesn't look too bad, but. Yeah, the Empire ones will look good. But when I was a kid, all I wanted was that Jedi Luke, and I never got it. Mm-hmm. And the only time we ever had it was that I went to a friend's birthday party, and my mum bought it for another kid to give as a present. So it sat like in our house on the mantelpiece. So I had to look at it, and I couldn't open it. And I was going like, maybe I could just open the side and stick my finger in the side and like feel the cape or something. And that was the closest I ever got.
That's like peeling off the corners of your Christmas presents when you're a kid, like to see what you got.
Just look at just like it's still a little.
No, do you think whenever they get to Return the Jedi, and they're still doing those retro figures, you think they'll have the R2 with the pop out saber?
I don't know. It depends what they do. If they, I mean, I guess they always do the first batch, don't they? Or is it just the most popular ones? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the logic is. Like, I have a pop-up R2 right here, as you can see, as you've probably heard before. There he is.
Oh, look at you with the actual ones.
Yeah, he was the famous.
Is the saber in there?
Nah, saber's long gone, sadly. He was in. I've told this story many times before, but it started as the urban legend on Steele's podcast about that they were found in show bags in a fair in Melbourne. They're just discarded stock, which is absolutely true because my brother and I got those bags, and that's where we got the toy from. So it had been sitting at my parents' house for years, and then I was there quite recently, and I was just sort of digging around in this old box and went, oh, that's the R2. He's still sitting there, so he's seen a bit of action, but yeah, so he's just on the desk now with a Daddy Pig statuette. So keep it on brand on the Peppa Pig stuff. So
always got to. I've listened to a few episodes of that podcast, namely because we don't like my kids don't watch Peppa Pig.
No, that's not a bit tricky.
Just because. I listen to it because I just the idea of you and Matt Frost talking about Peppa Pig just cracks me up, and I love the theme song and all that good stuff. It's just a funny concept, and I think it's pretty cool. So
have you?
I think it's a fun idea that, like, I'm forced to watch this, so why not talk about with another dad who's forced to watch it?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. We've only just got back to it. We took a few weeks off because I got sick, and then my daughter got sick, and Matt was doing renovations and stuff. And we were kind of broken men getting back on the mic, just like, oh, okay, we've got to get back into this mind frame. You've got Disney Plus, obviously. Have you watched Bluey on Disney Plus?
I have not, and I keep meaning to do it, but it's not one of those shows that pops up on.
No,
the main
you probably
feed.
have to hunt for it.
Yeah.
You've got kids would be the right age. Yeah, it's the best show.
I keep hearing great things about it, but I've not checked it out.
Pop it on, put the kids on, watch first episode, put on The Pool, which is the best way in, and yeah, you'll be hooked. You'll be hooked, and your kids will love it. It's it's more adult, able to sit through than Pepper. But there is actually already a Bluey podcast, so we don't have to have another one. Someone else is doing that. Yeah, that's all right. That's good. So
Foiled again.
I know you've just come off doing Bad Motivators here, so you'll have to stop me if I'm repeating or asking the same questions and all that kind of stuff like that. Because that's the way it rolls in podcasts. You know how it is, man. But how's your Star Wars life at the moment? You enjoying the little break, the little sort of downtime at the moment?
I actually am. I enjoy, but for one, it's not really a downtime for me because I really enjoy the Clone Wars and I enjoy the comics and the books and all the stuff that's not the meat and potatoes of the movies. So it's not really a downtime for me. But I think it's kind of allowed me to escape from the fandom a little bit, which has gotten quite annoying.
Yeah.
So when there's not a movie out or a movie coming, they end up talking about BS that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I can ignore it better.
Did you feel like when you came out of Rise of Skywalker the first time, and you have that first viewing and you're sort of processing and find out what you like or not, what you don't like. Did you sort of think, oh, this is really going to divide people, or were you just like, oh, everybody should be cool with this, or just not something you really thought about? Like, I was really surprised that so many people got their knickers in a knot really about it. Like Last Jedi, I could kind of see, but this I went, oh, okay.
Are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't really give a shit. I thought that I would, because after The Last Jedi and all that stuff that happened with that, and the long running debates and stuff like that, what it made me realize was that The Last Jedi, given all the discussion it caused, made it realize how much of a great movie it was, because just because of the long lasting talks, negative or positive or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean it's still ongoing.
It's still going. I'm crazy when I see someone like talk about Star Wars or Rian Johnson. Someone else is still like bloody Rian Johnson. I'm like, you're still on that hill, dude. Like, there's been like a movie still and a TV show, and that's weird. Maybe all this disdain you have for it is actually love, and you're afraid to admit it. But I don't know. After when we started the Bad Motivators, we actually should have mentioned on the show this week. It's probably been 3 years since our first episode this month. And when we started that, right in the heart of those 3 years was all the Last Jedi stuff, and every week we were arguing about it and fighting for it and saying what the hell is wrong with these people. And after you do that so much,
it's just like, you like it or you don't, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to tell you. And when I watched The Rise of Skywalker, I watched it with my best friend, like I always do. When a new Star Wars movie comes out, me and my best friend since second grade, Leo, we go out and we see it together, and we had the best time. I mean, we recorded a Patreon episode on Bad Motivators for it, and like our reaction before we went in, our reaction when we came out, like in the car, we recorded from my phone, high quality stuff, and we were just elated. I mean, we even sat this is middle of winter in where I'm from, and it was about 5 degrees outside, and we just had a blast sitting there with the heat off, because you don't want the fans disrupting the clean audio
that clean phone audio, yeah.
So we sat there with the windows freezing up and everything from the fog from our breath and stuff, and we were just overjoyed. And I understand that people didn't like it, but we had so much fun watching it. Maybe it was the experience together, I don't know. But when I went and watched it again with my wife that Saturday in IMAX with our son, she had a blast and I had a blast, and it just, and my son was, I think my son was a little distracted by how loud an IMAX is. I felt bad. Like I feel like I should give him earphones or something to cover up some of the loudness. But he was just like, oh my god, but he had fun, and I think he was kind of weirded out by the seats, because IMAXs are really steep sometimes and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm good with it, man. I'm good, and I'm good if you don't like it. And but I think the thing that needs to stop is I think people need to quit saying you don't actually like this, you just think you do. But if you do like it, you have to admit that you like bad movies and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, what happened in your life that you feel like you have to tell people what's good and what's not? I just don't get it.
And ultimately, it's
old.
Yeah, and ultimately, you're just like, dude, you don't make the rules. If they're your rules, then great. You can adhere to your rules all you like, but you're not the boss of me.
Who made you fucking king of taste?
Yeah, exactly. You like what I like. I don't have to explain myself to you. The same way around. That was the thing. I always tried to. I got in the Last Jedi stuff. I got it. I understood why some people were bummed, and there's sort of too many chicks and all that kind of stuff. Those people can go to hell. But people who had sort of other things, I didn't think that. I didn't like what they did to Luke and all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what will people, fans who've come in on this trilogy, big Rey fans and stuff like that. If we go episode 10 in 15, 20 years and we pick up with a bitter Rey who's chucked the lightsaber away, doesn't want to fight anymore, will there be a sense of betrayal? Will people feel a sense of betrayal if Rey is in a position where Luke was? You know what I mean? Would it be will that same compassion be shown to people? They're like, oh, I get it now. Why you were bummed about Luke, because Rey potentially could be doing the same thing. Although I'd be like, could have thought of something more original, guys, rather than just doing it's poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, how many Death Stars have there been?
Yeah, that's right. We gotta go find Rey, Master Rey. She went missing on an island, and there's another Death Star, and it's a young plucky Force user, and yeah.
I don't think that would happen with Rey, honestly, because of she learned the lesson of a Jedi who had given up and realized they made a mistake. So maybe she would, and if there was a compelling story
in Rise of Skywalker, a year later, she was ready to give up on that island for about 5 minutes.
That's true, but that was because she shot lightning out of her fucking fingers. She's like, maybe I'm a dark side user and don't realize it. Yeah. Luke Skywalker didn't think he was potentially a Sith. She just found out that she could shoot light out her fingers. Just found out that she was she found out she was Palpatine's heir apparent. There's a lot of reasons. What am I doing? Am I going to cause too much damage just being around? And it was appropriate that Luke was like, I messed up doing this. You should really reconsider it. So she already had her moment doing that. So I can't see her as an old, older woman doing that. But maybe she would. And if there's a compelling story to be had,
who knows?
I'm here for it, man. I'm here for more Star Wars.
We'll rock up for episode 10 in 10, 15 years or whenever they do it, whenever it's going to be. It just feels crazy to even be thinking about that far forward. They seem to be so obsessed with going backwards at the moment that they just, they don't want to touch, they don't want to touch anything from that close of episode 9 now. Those, as far as time in Star Wars, Rey's looking at those twin suns and time has stopped until the foreseeable future, really. So now it's all like, let's go back to this High Republic. Let's go back to Mando. Let's go back to, I don't know, what else we can throw a stick at. Like, what's grooving for you? Like, what are you looking forward to most?
Obviously, my favorite thing about Star Wars right now is The Mandalorian. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that story goes. I wonder how long people can stay invested in the trope of Baby Yoda. Like, I wonder if it can sustain the series, or if he goes, can the series carry on?
Yeah. Or
is the series just going to end up being about getting that Force baby to somebody who can handle him,
Does it get stale? They've got to be careful of just like, hey, we just can't keep having Baby Yoda, put him down somewhere and he turns up somewhere else. Like, it's going to get old if they just keep doing it. Like, I was kind of thought that they would wind his story up at the end of this, because I felt like, if they just kept this going, he's just going to be luggage,
Yeah. And there's a whole lot of things to consider. People have like, with Dave Filoni involved, does that mean that Ahsoka would end up taking him and whatever else, which could be cool. But and it might be the best foot forward for him, but or 3-clawed foot, whatever he has going forward. But you're right though. But I just enjoy the storytelling of The Mandalorian so much that I feel like I could deal with another season or 2 of the trope, as long as they are telling compelling stories. If it continues to be, oh, look how cute Baby Yoda is.
Yep. Then, like, they just go to another place and it's like, look how cute he is. We go off and do something. We pick him up at the end. Yeah. They've got to sort of. I mean, they're in a primo position now where they've got a big hit on their hands. They can kind of really springbox it, and I think there was talk of like they could spin things off, and they could really use it as a launching pad to bring in all sorts of stuff, really, or bring in characters and spin them off and really build that universe. Like, it's not that they got lucky, they put a lot of work into it, but I think it probably touched the cultural zeitgeist a bit harder than probably they even thought.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the fandom and people who are not even Star Wars fans understand who Yoda is, and they understand all that. They've seen that little green guy around all the time. They thought he was cute. Now make it a baby version. It's like, oh my god. But I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to say. Like, I think things could spin off from it. I really think I do. But it's hard to say where it could go. I mean, could it focus on the rebuilding of Mandalore? What does that mean? Could it spark the resurgence of Boba Fett? What does that mean? Do we need it? Does it matter? There's a lot of things, and all that takes place in between. The OT and sequel trilogy. Like, does any of that matter to what's going on to that main story, or is it just its own separate story? And if so, that's cool. I'd be happy with that. But as far as like the High Republic or whatever, I'm intrigued by it. I hope they can pull off this endeavor they're trying to do. Do you read the books and stuff?
No, I didn't. No. So there was somebody who was doing a thing on Twitter. It was like, "What's your Star Wars confession?" or something went around the other day or something like. And I was like, "Oh, I haven't read a Star Wars novel since about 2001." Like, like I've read books and storybooks, and like I got the little books for my kids and things like that. But as far as like getting a novel, I rely very heavily on you guys and King Tom and people like that to tell me what happens in those novels and stuff. And I'm always interested to find out, but I just don't have the time. Like comics, I follow all the comics. They're a lot more digestible. And I'm sort of, for the most part, I've enjoyed those. Some of them are a bit like, I don't know about this, but for the most part,
oh, dude, there's some arcs in that first main Star Wars run. It's like, oof.
Anytime that I don't like the idea that they're having a bigger adventure that's happening that's not happening in the movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have more
Yeah.
significant shit. Like, that new Empire one, I will spoil the end of the Empire one. Leia in carbonite. Have you seen that?
No.
Have I just
I
spoiled
read
it?
the
I'm
first
sorry.
episode of it. No. It's all good. It's my bad for not continuing on the series. It's fine. I read the first episode. First issue. So they put Leia in carbonite. Huh?
They go back to Cloud City to look for Luke's lightsaber. So basically, Lando's like, "Hey, don't worry, Luke. I know this place inside out. Your lightsaber. If you fell down that pipe, you know, all the stuff that falls down there basically goes to this place. We'll go down there and we'll go get it. Don't worry about it." So they turn up there and Lando, you know, the Empire's kind of running the place, and Lando pulls a few strings to get them in, and Luke goes off to find it to where Lando tells him, and it's just like this big sort of like, I don't know, like junk pile full of scrap metal. And he's like, all right, well, my lightsaber's in here somewhere. Okay, I've got to see where I can find this lightsaber. And Leia basically goes off back to the carbon freezing chamber. And it seems like she's trying to figure out how to like turn them off, how to unlock them, how to like get somebody out of carbonite, I think. So do her due research. And then I can't remember who it is. Somebody's there. Well, I don't know whether it's a bounty hunter or an Imperial, or somebody's there and basically catches her, and then they go, hey, we've got this new way of transporting prisoners. We're going to put him in this carbonite. And the last shot is like Leia in carbonite. So
Interesting.
I know. I was like, okay. Weird. It's a weird yeah. Those main runs, they feel a little bit too close to home sometimes when they muck around with stuff.
Yeah, the biggest one for me is that, Luke met Vader.
Oh,
before
yeah.
in Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that forever is going to feel like a flub to me. It kind of feels like it takes away from that moment.
Oh, definitely. I think that if they had their time again, they wouldn't have done that.
Well, it was their attempt to make the comics substantial to the canon. That was in the early days of them really pushing the narrative that everything we come out with that matters and everything's canon, and fuck yeah, let's do this. And it's and it wasn't that it was a bad thing to see in a comic, but the overall impact of that was like, but why?
Yeah.
Like,
it can only cheapen something. It can only cheapen the real moment.
Why would you take away from one of the biggest moments in cinematic history?
Yeah.
Like, what did you gain? Luckily, 0.05% of people who've seen that movie have read that comic. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really.
But have they had? I mean, you read a lot more of the supplementary stuff than I do. Have they had to retcon their own stuff already? Have there been many instances where they've had to sort of like, oh, we're just going to wipe something out that we've kind of done?
If they have, I don't found a way around it. It's been very subtle, and I've not enough to have noticed.
I think major.
Yeah, so I guess you could call me a fake fan, because I have read almost all of the. I've read almost all the new canon books. There's a few that I've not, dived into, but I would say, if I could just tell you a series you should consider, and I know it's been controversial, the series itself. Even if you just do like an Audible trial or something, you should consider giving the Aftermath series a read.
Oh yeah.
By Wendig, or a listen, if you will.
Yep.
It's from what I understand, I think you've heard on the show probably, the first novel is kind of a hard read. If you read it, because of the way he writes it, but he course corrects in the second and third part of the trilogy. But when you're listening to it, you don't really notice it. The issues had there. I guess he's writing in a present tense, and it's kind of strange. But I thoroughly enjoy that series. I've listened to it probably 3 or 4 different times.
Oh wow!
And I really enjoy it. And much to Eric's chagrin, Dallas and I always bring up Plagueis and stuff like that, like that which is a not canon. It's part of the EU, but it's one of those stories that just stands out to us. But as far as the new canon goes, that trilogy is a must for me. The Kanan novel is actually really good.
Okay.
Which I think is the first or second book they actually came out with in a new canon, and it's called A New Dawn. And there's a Clone Wars arc book called Dark Disciple, also very good, featuring oh shit, I just blanked on his name. I've had 3 beers. Excuse me. Quinlan Voss.
Oh, yep.
That's,
Sal's favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ventress.
Yep.
It's very interesting story. It deals with a lot of serious issues, love, depression, maybe a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in that book. It's very interesting. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I actually, if you really want, did you like Rogue One, the movie?
Yeah, very much.
The book that goes before that, Catalyst, is exceptional.
I have heard that people really like that. So going through the go through most of those books and like the Aftermath ones particularly, like do you get an indication that Rise of Skywalker led to a natural conclusion based on what you went before? Or is it like, there's really no correlation, they just kind of wrote it and there weren't seeds in those books? Or are you kind of just looking for things after you already know what happens?
It depends on how you look at it. I feel like those books really showcase that Palpatine had a plan, and he had there's a whole thing called the contingency plan and all that stuff.
Is that the Operation Cinder stuff as well? And
there's some of that involved there too. I think they're kind of it's all in there. There's a lot of stuff. There's a guy named Gallius Rex in there that people thought was going to be Snoke, but it wasn't, obviously. There's a lot of things that kind of play to the idea of a master plan. And I believe, it's like sacrilege to mention his name now because people have shit upon him like nobody's business, but Chris Terrio, I believe he, in an interview, he mentioned those books as if he's read them, or maybe he read synopsis of them, or maybe he got the Cliff Notes version or something. And for me personally, and it's a dangerous world to step in, but for me personally, I feel like it ends up being the most relative book to the sequel trilogy because of what happens, with especially with the Palpatine stuff. There's always this hint of malice that's hidden in the background, while you're dealing with the foreground of the heroes in the story that don't have much to do with what's going on back there. There's the Acolytes of the Beyond. There's a whole bunch of stuff that are like people who, how like you have the Church of the Force, Max von Sydow, R.I.P. His character in The Force Awakens, he was a part of the Church of the Force or whatever. They're kind of like the yin and yang that doesn't ever quite get explained, but you can see there's a lot of groundwork put in there, wasn't there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like Chuck Wendig doesn't get enough credit for laying that groundwork, and some people said that it's discredited because of what's happened in Rise of Skywalker, and I think they're choosing to see something that's not there. But that's my opinion. And like I said, you can hit me up on Twitter and yell at me, but I'm not going to respond. I just don't care anymore.
I don't think anybody who listens to this would do that, Cruiser. I think most people who listen to this listen to you on Motivators anyway. They know you're good people.
You never know.
When does the Rise of Skywalker novelization come out officially?
I believe it comes out either the 17th or the 19th. I believe it comes out on the 7th. I think it comes out on the same day as the digital release for the movie.
Yeah, right.
Which is Tuesday the 17th.
Are you a digital buy guy? Do you hold your powder for a week and just get the disc?
I have to have the hard copy because I get this. I get the steel books. They're like exclusive to Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the rest of the, Disney era of Star Wars, all on steelbook, and so it would be a shame to not finish that out.
Yeah.
So collectors, man.
I think I've got Solo in steelbook. I'm just sort of looking over at my shelf over there.
That's a cool cover, man. I like that. The Solo one it was just that nice clean picture of the Falcon and that yellowish kind of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
It's cool.
Yeah, I've got Solo and Last Jedi in 4K. I don't have Force Awakens in 4. Actually, I own Force Awakens in 3D because it had the commentary track on it. So I bought it to get the commentary.
Well, now Disney Plus though, you got them all in 4K, bro.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I'm just like, oh, it's going to be on. I'll get it, because I'm going to complete the set and stuff. But I haven't had to pop in a DVD or anything since because I've just been able to I'll just sit here and flick it over, and it just feels like too much effort to sometimes I'll just play the same game in my Xbox because I'm like, oh, it's too much effort to walk over and push the eject button and take the disc out and switch it over. I'll just play Gears of War again.
How lazy we've become.
Oh, I know, it's shocking. Now I had Dallas on not that long ago. Actually, we were talking sort of celebration-y stuff. We're obviously sort of fingers crossing here, hoping that it all goes ahead as events are sort of dropping off left, right, and centre here. We're supposed to be having the Australian Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix, I think, this weekend, and they're saying no, it's going to happen. But then a bunch of people have cancelled concerts and all sorts of things. So we're just kind of hoping it's still gonna go ahead. Like, what do you reckon? You sort of thinking August, a long way away? No need to panic.
I mean, it's easy for me to say not to panic because I live in America and
you just stay home.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I guess better luck next time, boys. But and be I don't know what the refund rates are on international flights or Airbnbs or whatever. So. I'm all in on a big group thing. So if for some reason Airbnb's like, no, fuck you, you can have your money back. I guess I'm out $200, no big deal.
Yeah.
But I doubt they have to have a return policy. There's no way they can't.
I think that they have. Policy. I think they've got some kind of. They've already said, hey, if you've got a corona related, cancellation will help you out. You'll get your refund or something. But it's funny because they've just done like in Italy where they've had an outbreak. They've been playing the soccer in front of like nobody. Mm-hmm. They've just been like playing in front of empty stadiums. So like maybe they should just do celebration anyway, but just have nobody there. So they just have this sort of like empty basketball arena. Like, ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Kennedy, and you're just like. She just sort of walks out, and there's like Warwick Davis, like, "Come on, hi everybody, welcome to celebration." Well, there's no one here, but they got a clap trap. They got like canned laughter for Anthony Daniels saying something hilarious. And
well, I just saw. Speaking of Italy, I got a news update on my phone recently, this a few hours ago, that Italy's locked itself down.
Yeah.
That they're like locked down on the entire country. We're gonna figure this shit out. Nobody in, nobody out. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I've been to Italy a few times. They go at their own pace. So I think they're like, hey, it's easier just to close everything down than try and rush around and solve this thing. We'll just
Well, I mean, at least they're doing something about it. Next to our country, who's like, well,
Well, this is
we'll see what happens.
Well, that's the thing for us. We're a bit like, maybe celebration will be on, but we might be uninsurable. To they might just be like, hey, we're not going to insure you. Because when I go to America, you get travel insurance. So if you break your leg, you're all right. You'll be looked after. But I'm just going, they might not even insure you and let you fly to America and stuff. So we might be watching like I said, watching the live stream at home. To an empty, thing, and that'd be very weird.
Well, we were just talking about this on Bad Motivators, and Turbo sent Matt Thurbin sent us an email, a voicemail about it, which It's something we don't usually do anymore, but it's Turbo, so we'll play it.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning that he might keep if they cancel Celebration, he might come in the States anyways. And my thought is, if they're canceling Celebration this far out, and it's still a problem by that time, chances are they're probably locking down the country. So I mean, like that means it's no longer a sickness, that's a problem on the world. It's an outbreak, and it's like people are like, nope, you cannot leave your country, you cannot leave your state. You probably should just stay in your house.
Yeah, we probably.
I mean, that's a long way away.
Yeah,
so,
poor Turbo gets lost. He comes over and basically can't get home, and all of a sudden you've got him rocking up at your front door, just like, oh hey Cruiser, I just need somewhere to live for the next 6 months until this coronavirus thing can. You're like, Turbo, you're a great guy. I think you're awesome, but you're gonna have to just.
I'm like, Turbo, you bring that sickness to my family's door, you son of a bitch. Sorry, sir. You can sleep in the pool house, which is not really not what you imagine as a pool house is like a nice shed. Place with we're talking shed with chemicals in it and floaties. You enjoy it, sir.
Go gargle some chlorine. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, ABC or whatever recently said that people are saying that snorting cocaine and drinking bleach is a cure for the coronavirus. Oh. And then they put dash, it's not. Way to go, people.
Just got to try to find a way to convince your other halves that buying Star Wars figures is good for coronavirus. You're just like, hey, I'm doomsday prepping. There may not be any more Star Wars toys. These are going to be worth a fortune next year. No, it's just like toilet rolls here. I went shopping this morning and there was still no toilet paper in any of the supermarkets I went to.
Good Lord, man. You guys are going to be using just wet rags pretty soon.
Tell me about it. Pretty soon. I'm looking at those. Man. I'm going, I have to take all those figures off. I'm like, those those boards at those action figures, they look pretty clean. Maybe that's where I'll end up.
Well, I had this. I work at a place where they ship things, and I actually meant to mention this on the show tonight, but I didn't. So it's all for you, buddy.
Woo.
I was back there printing something, and I saw this old man just like creeping back to the back room. I'm like, can I help you? Like, do you need something? And he's just like staring at the bubble wrap. And I'm like, what's up? Can I he's like, he wasn't saying it. He was just staring randomly. I'm like, do you have dementia? Is everything okay? You need to call your family? What's going on? And he's like, yeah. He's like, did you hear the thing about them bubble wraps? And I was like, they pop and they keep things safe from place to place.
Such a loaded question.
He's like, they make them in China, don't you? And I was like, sure. He goes, I heard that they have, how they have the air in them? I heard that the coronavirus is in the air inside them, their air bubbles. And then when you pop them, you send out the coronavirus. And I was like, I don't think they're blowing those up manually, sir. And I don't really.
Did you know there was
imagine these people?
There was a Doctor Who episode quite recently that happened, where it was like some international like version of Amazon, and then somebody got in there and put a virus in the bubble wrap, and they were shipping it, and that's how they were distributing the virus until the doctor, she came along and saved the day. But so maybe he's just been watching too much Doctor Who. But yeah, you're like, dude, do you have a phone or your clothes?
I can't imagine this 80-year-old man from Indiana is watching much Doctor Who, but maybe I'm wrong. He's an avid fan. Who am I to judge?
He might be just like, I stopped watching after Matt Smith left. It wasn't the same after that.
It wasn't the same. I don't know. It's just people like I, you and I both have young children, so I mean, we should have somewhat of a concern just for the sake of our children and spreading it to them if there is a thing. But it's just like the flu and anything else. And, you've been dealing with all kinds of sickness. Oof. People go on about the flu, this, flu, that. I'm like, I care about that too when it happens. So, I mean, don't tell me that I shouldn't care about every other sickness that comes around.
I got kids in care. Like, the reality is that if the coronavirus gets out, my kids will get it and they'll bring it home like every other disease, most likely. It's just like we just we've just had a rough couple of weeks. My daughter Sloane, my youngest one, who's 1, she got hand, foot, and mouth disease. I don't know if you've ever seen that before. And it's like a rash.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it is no fun. And she had like welts and rashes, and it was but it's over in a week. So it was it's but done and done. But at the same time, I'm just going. There's like 40 kids at this daycare. They're all in a confined space. One of them has to cough.
Yep.
So, I mean, as far as celebration goes...
None of them are washing their hands.
No, they're licking each other's hands. They're probably doing all sorts of stuff. So, look, I really hope celebration goes ahead. I don't want to put any panic in anybody, but obviously we're coming from so far away. There have been discussions, and we're just kind of going, all right, well, if it's on and it seems fine, we'll be there. And if they are going to pull the plug, hopefully they do it sooner rather than later, because you don't want it like the week before or something.
Exactly.
I don't want to see an apologetic video from I don't want to find out on the Star Wars show like a few days before, Andy Gutierrez going, oh, by the way, there's no more Star Wars celebration. It's just good. It's just good. They're like, oh no, Andy's gone down as well.
No.
It's
injector with something. Revive her.
It's swept through. Well, I mean, talking merch, maybe Bad Motivators face masks. Maybe that's where it's at.
You know what, sir? That's not a bad idea. Actually, even in the instances where there's not a coronavirus, just like con crud mask. You know what? You should have said that for yourself.
I know. As soon as I said it, I'm like, shit. Oh. I'm like, there's going to be too hot in Anaheim for beanies, so, damn it. All right, well. Always thinking, always shilling. I know you're the merch guy for the Motivators as well, so your brain probably just works like I do. Is there?
It does when it's not overloaded. Like I work somewhere where the man has got me down, so my creativity gets kind of stifled sometimes, and so I don't think about marketing as much as I should. And I'm also going to school for a profession that has nothing to do with marketing, so it's like so I'm all over the place. So, but yeah, you're right though. Sometimes I kind of more so judge people's decisions more so than I create my own.
That's the thing. I have that sort of thing, and I suppose you too, as a person who creates stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I tend to sort of be more lenient on people who make things if it's not very good or whatever, because I'm just like, it's hard to make stuff. You're putting yourself out there one way or the other, and in the case we're sort of going around to Rise of Skywalker and people just like, oh, this is what happens if you don't love anything. I'm just like, dude, it is hard to make movies, especially when you got to rush it, especially when you're taking over from someone else, especially all these other factors when one of your leads dies, blah, 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 blah. Like, you got to sometimes get a little perspective and just be glad that you got something. It happened, yeah. Imagine if they'd pushed it back for a year and then, it'd be like James Bond now. They're like, oh, we're just not going to put it out because we're worried.
Oh, the fucking rage. Could you imagine? Like, hey guys, we decided that pushing back the Rise of Skywalker back one more year would really make the story just blah. Well, they wouldn't have to push it back if they had a good story to begin with, and blah, 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 blah. The rage that would come. And it's like, they just told you that they wanted to make the story better for you, and they feel like they have a good product, but they will make it better. But you're mad because you're not going to see it right now.
Yeah. And then when it comes out a year's time, you're like, well, we waited a year for that. God, imagine what it would have been like a year ago. Oh, I heard that it was way better a year ago. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't bring up the discourse. It's too frustrating. But
it is. I mean, honestly, that's why. Like, sorry to people out there who follow me and I don't follow them back. It's nothing against you, but if you're not like interacting with me in a way that is doesn't break my brain on a daily basis, I'm probably not going to follow you back. And I keep my following count low just because it's old, man. Like I'm tired of following people who just live in misery. It's no fun. Like, what is the point?
And it's really it's sort of like the same three arguments just spun in a different way. You're like, you're not bringing me anything new to the table here. Like,
no,
you're not going to convince me otherwise. So, why bother listening to it? Now, before we wrap this up, mate, we like to keep this tight under an hour. I know you've graciously stayed up late. So I don't want you to alienate your family any longer. You got to, probably get up and get the kids out of bed soon. Like, it's podcasting. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's all good. Let's just quickly touch on Clone Wars before we duck out of here. You just say you're enjoying it. Has it? I've been enjoying it. I'm enjoying it with the same level of enjoyment I did when I watched it 10 years ago when it came out. You sort of find it's elevated or sort of as good as it always was?
You see people saying different things, but for me personally, I don't find it necessarily better than the greatest stories in Clone Wars. 'Cause I have quite a reverence for the Clone Wars as a whole, as a series, and there's been some really powerful moments for me. And as of yet, that has not been met. But I do think the quality of the animation and all that is exceptional. And I do think that the Bad Batch is a fun story arc, and I love watching it with my kids.
Yep.
And it's funny because every time that big brute, that adult's just like at comes on the screen, my kids are always just like they love them, they laugh, and then they're just like they always ask me the same questions, like, how can he lift that droid above his head? How can he push that rock? I'm like, the answer, guy. I know because he's strong. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's like, but they just
save it for Twitter, guys.
Yeah. I like my home version of Twitter much better than the actual.
That's
Twitter.
A level of fan discourse you can deal with, really.
Oh, dude, it's so adorable too, because it's just fun hearing their little questions and feeling sad for specific moments. Like, we've watched the whole arc of Clone Wars once or twice together. And,
oh wow!
And like we often watch a couple episodes before they go to bed. Like we're laying in bed. It's one of the fun things they love to do. So we'll watch a couple episodes a night or something.
Wish you were my dad.
And they're short. and they're short enough, so it's not a big deal. But every time they get to the season 5, I believe, at the end, season 5 at the end, where Ahsoka leaves and stuff, they feel bad, and they're like, why won't they believe her, and why won't they? It's just so interesting to hear that from 5 and 3-year-olds. Like the to really get their really understand their cognitive abilities,
Yep.
And it's been really fun, and I feel like this new season is really good so far, and I think once they introduce Ahsoka again and they go to the Siege of Mandalore, I think it's probably going to end up being some of the best Clone Wars we've seen. So, I mean, you know me, I'm a big Darth Maul fanboy, so I'm ready to see that too.
I saw some, I was nearly going to send you a couple of photos, actually, because I was at the Supernova Expo in Melbourne here on Sunday with a friend of the show, friend of yours, Catherine Neen. She came, we went along and sort of checked it out. We walked around, which was cool. There wasn't really, I mean, it's rinky-dink compared to the USA ones, obviously, but guest-wise, there was no sort of Star Wars people there. Sometimes you get them because like a bunch of Aussies were in the prequels and stuff, so occasionally like Jay Lagaya or somebody will be there. We went down, like they had a whole big area with all the artists and stuff. So there was some quite nice Darth Maul sort of art prints and stuff. And I was this close to sort of taking a couple of photos and going, Cruiser would like this. But I'm like, I'm really not going to buy it and then pack it. And then imagine if I said I bought you a special Darth Maul print and then the coronavirus keeps me away anyway. I'm like, well, here's a photo off my phone. Maybe you can enjoy that.
Yeah, if I got it, I'd totally blame you. Like that Chapman.
Yeah, he sneezed in the packet in the bubble wrap.
Oh, you son of a bitch! You've poisoned my family. I can't believe you. How dare you?
First Turbo, and now you.
Yeah, see, when we were at Celebration, they were just talking. We were all going about how great and nice the Australians were, but they actually wanted to kill us all. That's interesting.
Look, it's gonna be like if we get there, and like fingers crossed that we do get there, and we all get together and stuff. Everybody's gonna be sort of slightly eyeballing everybody, like, damn, Struthers looks sick, man. Something's up.
Have you been tested?
Yeah,
Have you been
has he been tested? You've been tested. There's always somebody who's a bit more pedant than everybody else. Is like, well, until I get your little certificate that you've been clear and that everything's cool. Like,
did you bring it with you?
Yeah. I ain't eating with you. I'm not sitting next to you. You stay over that side, and I'll stay over this side.
Don't cross this line.
Two beers in, everybody's
way.
like hugging everything and it's all forgotten about anyway. So, mate, thank you so much for staying up late and doing this. I know it's late where you are, and you've already talked Star Wars with your boys, and then doubling back and coming back
great.
on. But fingers crossed, we'll see you in person in a few months and stuff, and it'll all be smiles and hugs all over again. But
man, we'll be there. We'll all be there together. It'll be a forgotten. Remember when we were all worried that we were going to
coronavirus?
Oh my God, fucking corona, nothing, whatever.
Turns out it was the zombies we should have been worried about.
Good.
Shit, who knew that you'd turn into a zombie 2 months after? But hey, corona was nothing.
Yeah, that's what. Real quick, that's how fucked up our brains have gotten. Like my immediate thought was like, okay, are the Chinese people who were first when we see getting infected, are they eating their other people yet? Is it happening? Are we seeing them come back to life?
Because we can't contain shit, so.
This isn't the zombie virus we thought it might be. Cool.
Anybody who listens to this knows about you and where to find you, but just tell them, just in case, what you're all about, where they can catch you.
All right. Well, I do a podcast called the Bad Motivators with my friends Eric Strothers and Dallas Wood. We produce it every Wednesday. We're three dads. We love talking about our kids. We get a little not safe for work sometimes, but nothing too extravagant as long as we keep Dallas in check. And we have a good time talking all things Star Wars, comics, books, movies, cartoons. Recently we've been doing commentaries of the most recent episodes of Clone Wars, and whenever we're in this lull of Star Wars content, we'll probably continue to do that, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of reinvigorated our podcast to these commentaries, so come check us out. It's a good time.
It sure is a good time. And if they want to catch you on Twitter,
they follow the show at Bad_Motivators. You can follow me at Luke Cruser. It's with a Cruser. So yeah,
easy. If you can't figure that out, what are you doing here? Come on.
Well, some people put an I, some people put a Z. It gets confusing.
You can find all our stuff at StarWarsSpelledOut.com. Leave us a review on iTunes if you get the chance. That'd be great. We've got T-shirts, TeePublic, all that kind of good things, mate. Cruiser, a pleasure. Can't believe it's taken so long. Hopefully the next time you come on,
pleasure's all mine, my friend.
Hopefully next time you come on, like I said, we'll be in person catching up for reals. But
yeah,
can't wait. We'll hopefully see you soon.
Definitely, my dude. Definitely.
Thanks, mate.
Later, man.